What's going on, world? And guess what? Today I have one of my good friends. Every single time I go to Florida, I love it when I see her. But I'm going to be honest with you. We both have a love and a passion for two things: leadership and artificial intelligence. Well, I'm going to say three things, right? And the ability to leverage this in order to grow our business. What's going on today? Cyndee Haydon from Florida. How you doing?
I am excited to be in the house with you. And I told some of my friends, and they're like, "Wow, that sounds like you're a rock star." I go, "Well, I know I'm on with a rock star." So,
No, you
but I
are.
think what I love about you and excites me is you are practical and I am practical. I don't love technology or love the things we're going to talk about because they're cool or they're hip. I mean, it's like, how does it make money in our business? How does it help families? How does it help realtors? And I love that you always keep that focus. It's sometimes people that are teaching, they don't have enough insight as to what's really happening, boots on the ground. And so they're telling you stuff, and I call it cheap bar tricks when it comes to AI. It's like it might get you a free drink, but it isn't going to get you more business.
I love that cheap bar tricks. So when I came to Florida early in 2023, we're talking about ChatGPT had been able to be accessed by us 30, 60 days at most. And you were already leveraging it in what you call the third leg of your stool, right? Which is probate. But I mean, we have so much to unwrap. So let's come back to what attracted you to artificial intelligence in the first place.
So a lot of people don't know, I have a computer science business degree from the University of Florida. And much like you, I had an uncle that was an entrepreneur. And I always knew I wanted to be in marketing. And he said, get a marketable skill. And so I got the computer science degree. I started working for IBM and then moved through to marketing consulting and then left for real estate. I share all that to say that in real estate, when I got here in 2005 and the market was diving, we were one of the first bloggers, and we pioneered video testimonials. And we did things that said, again, how can we connect and deliver a more intimate and a professional experience to consumers? So I get excited every once in a while. So I can see like lightning in a bottle. And when I saw the ability for this to help me be a better communicator and connector, I was like, this is something worth really getting into and figuring out.
And it does help us with communication because one of the first things I think that we both realized were personality selling, right? And probably because a disc had been performed on us 20 years ago, we had been disked, right? First online first paper where we had to hand grade it, right? And then you questioning your mathematical skills on your hand grade. And then they put it online and we would answer some questions and it would calculate it for us. And now people can actually run a disc assessment on us without our permission. When we think about being a better communicator because of your being in leadership, right? You have to communicate with a lot of people. How have you leveraged AI to be a better communicator?
So what surprised me the most is it's really helped me with three areas of weakness. And I think if you really step back for each of us, most of us, if you're honest, if you're a good business person, you know what your weaknesses are. Just don't always know. We come with our family of origin, we come with our life pattern. How do we do better? And so for me, it was interesting. I come from a family that nobody was ever wrong. Nobody ever said, I'm sorry. Like that. It was just, they'd be like this. Well, and I tell the joke that I was married to my husband for 10 years before I was able to say the words, I'm sorry. Like literally, that's how patient this man is. He knew it. And I mean, he knew in a lot of ways. So for me, those words are just not, again, family of origin baggage. So I had a situation, I'll tell you a funny story, but I woke him up, headed to an association meeting. And I got this text. He's not a morning person. And I got a text from Grumpy, like not like him. And my first fight or flight was like, well, let me tell you what you did about something. Just it was like that. Like I'm coming when someone comes at you. And then I said, I have a relationship coach in my pocket. And I said to ChatGPT, help me write an apology and let him know how grateful I am for his support. And that I'm sorry I woke him up. And again, just whatever. So ChatGPT gave me some words that again, I felt, but they're just hard for me to voice. I send it to him, and 10 minutes later, he says, oh, baby, we're good. And the message there is, and I always ask when I'm teaching, people will say, sometimes people are getting used to it. They used to go, that's cheating. And now I ask people, how many of you think I cheated, right? 38 years in marriage, did I cheat? And the next question I ask people is this: have you ever purchased a Hallmark card for someone? And so my answer is, it's my BTH. It is better than Hallmark because it is exactly what I want to communicate to someone. And so being able to bring disconnection to connection is a superpower that AI has when we harness it and put our ego aside and just be honest and ask it to be our coach. Cheaper than a therapist. That tip right there should save some realtors, some marriages, friendships, and clients.
You know what? Last week I was talking to Sarah Ware, and someone inboxed her on LinkedIn. And when I read what the person had sent her, I said, are you kidding me? They have the unmitigated gall, right? She says, don't worry about it, Marky. I copied and pasted it over into ChatGPT. Do you want to hear the response? And she gave me the response. I said, oh, that was so professional and even keel. Like it was the absolute best response to neutralize the situation.
Yes.
And so if the goal is to do business and to create raving fans, it allows you to put your ego to the side and give a professional, loving response if it's to the spouse, a caring response to someone else. And I said, oh, I would have never said those words, right? And this is what I'm consistently getting from ChatGPT, like, oh, that was thoughtful. And I'm loving the BTH better than Hallmark because think about how much time people take to go to purchase cards that generally people discard after some time, right? To get the absolute perfect words to be able to say to someone. And generally that's going to be on a special occasion, right? Now you can make someone feel good every single day, leveraging a tool in your hand.
Right.
So how do you think being a better communicator has made you a better entrepreneur?
100%. It's what I found is, and I was sharing with you, so empathy was one that I feel it, and I have a 98% repeat and referral business. So people feel it over time, but it just takes so long, right? Whereas sometimes those words, if I were better at just saying, what do I say? And so it helps me there. Brevity, again, you give me 30 minutes, I'm good. You give me 8 seconds in a goldfish on this campaign, and I'm like, oh, girl, that's some stress, right? So it can take and help me work from a big idea down to really short sound bites and like, how do I communicate it to a consumer in a way that the girl next door, guy next door understands it, right? And then the third, which is funny, but in business, for whatever reason, I've always been super focused, and I do believe what we do is so important that sometimes I don't really easily weave humor into it. And so when I'm doing videos or I'm doing some of that, I will now say, make it witty, make it catchy. And it just gives, I think what you've been so great about showing and others is the ability you just have to one-off yourself. You can't do a 180 because people go, that doesn't sound like you. So you still keep it on your style, your tone, who you are authentically, but you give yourself permission. I give myself permission to lighten up a little, So I think, again, those are three areas that I just say the world has given me feedback. And so as I use it, it's amazing the results I've had. I could tell you an amazing story of a referral and a deal saved, but more importantly, this is practical for every realtor. I had an engineer and a teacher. So you've got your S and C's, right? You have your people that are super detailed, want it perfect. And we were in the middle of buying a house last year, and the engineer reading it felt like the MLS information was not correct. Now, I don't know about you, but does that ever happen? All the time, right? It's like he is so frustrated, and he says, I think the seller owes me money. I think this and that. And we had been able to secure a unicorn. It was like, again, a low priced house that water access that you never see again. And so the thing is, as realtors, our job is to help people from self-sabotaging when they get in this emotional pressure cooker too. So here's what we did. He sent me this email, and I took it to ChatGPT, and I said, respond to this email in an empathetic, caring, supportive way, professional. And then at the bottom, which is what I love about ChatGPT, normally, you think I could just free thought, like I know it, but I don't have to perfect my words. So I would say, tell him I've got his back. Tell him we're in the inspection period. Tell him he's in control. Whatever he wants to do, I got him. And then, and then apologize. And I said, let him know that I wish everybody was as detail oriented as him. Unfortunately, they're not. And in the realtor remarks, it says that the buyer's realtor and the buyer need to verify. I apologize. Let me know the next step. It gives me something beautiful. I tweak a few words. I send it. I kid you not. 2 minutes later, here's the response I got. That's why you're the best.
That's it.
Now, I went from somebody who was going to cancel a deal, self-sabotage, had been referred to me. And I'm thinking there's nothing, like I'm not getting paid, which, I get grumpy when I'm not getting paid and I've done the work. So I'm like, mama's got to get paid. So we went from all of a sudden him being unhappy to being back on track, but more importantly, feeling good about me and me advocating for him and being referable back to the person, not only that sent him, but future people. And so my point is, and this is what I learned, I was able in minutes to get something that would have taken me a half day or a day to try to craft the right words that I know, but that's not my gift. It's just not my gift to naturally say what needed to be said in the way. And so I look at that and I go, well, that day, that was $10,000 that kept moving forward because of my ability to use an assistant. And rich people and powerful people have had assistants forever. Sometimes I think those of us that are self-made and worked up, we think, oh, we're all proud. We got to do it all. No, the sign of leadership and getting better is delegate, right? And you can delegate, don't abdicate. We still check everything. We still make sure, but we do delegate. And that is a powerful thing at our fingertips. And it's really so democratized for everyone for kind of the first time, what I'm seeing.
The business practice, it's practical business, right? Everything you just stated. And I'm going to give you an example. So I saw one of my agents the other day at a restaurant, and she says, Marky, girl, let me tell you what I did the other day. And so she had a deal that was going to fall apart at the closing table. And she was like, Marky, it was $9,500. I'm looking for this $9,500. She says, well, the listing agent did not do her job. She said, and the seller was short. She says, and so now everybody's sitting looking at the table and they're like, well, you'll have to take less money. She says, so, she started thinking to herself, okay, I could get $0. Right. I could get less money. But what I know I'm not going to get on this deal is this $9,500.
Right.
That's over, right? She said, so she pulled out ChatGPT because she wanted to know how to negotiate this deal to successfully close while sitting at the closing table. She said, we broke out. It told us how to break this deal down. She said the listing agent, it was her fault, but she was positioned to earn more money than me. I told her, no, we would earn the same amount of money on this transaction. Did she want her part but not. She
Yeah.
said, and we pulled money. She said, I sat there and it told me to ask who to ask money for. She said, and I asked for money from each person, and the deal closed. And so when it is crunch time, because negotiation is one of the skill sets that most consumers want us, according to surveys, to do a better job, it can now become your negotiator, how to neutralize a system, how to think creatively outside of the box at the last minute to make the deal work. It is, right, your your productive, electrifying, trained assistant. But every tip that you gave was not a tech tip, it was a business tip.
Right.
And how to be a better communicator. And I love it because it's so easy to do. You didn't even have to type this out. You could give it audio to text command, right?
Correct.
And you saving deals. You're making your husband feel this. Look,
I'm saving the marriage. That's the first.
You're saving the marriage, right? You're saving deals. And what was that percentage you gave me in regards to your referral numbers?
Yeah, 98% repeat and referral.
98%. Imagine if ChatGPT, now 98 is awesome, okay? But imagine if you increase that to 100% because you were using artificial intelligence to just be a better communicator. Now, one thing that I also thought was genius, besides the fact that you're an early adapter of leveraging ChatGPT, you're not only using it to be a better communicator, but you're also leveraging it in a niche, the probate niche, which I find absolutely fascinating. Why is that the third leg in the stool?
Well, like you, I like to establish solid businesses, and then you're building when you don't need to eat on it, right? So I'm always one to like let it, just get working, and then again, it'll be there. But what is great about probate that I found, so I have designations. I took training certification in divorce, and what I learned was in divorce, you have mostly unhappy people that want to hurt everybody. I was like, I don't not need more of that in my life. I just don't. And I realized it didn't play to my strengths, meaning I'm a relational. I want to love on you, hug on you, take care of you like family. And in divorce, you have to be neutral. Everybody's, it's a very different. So there are people in our organization that you work with, that I work with, that's perfect for. My husband is very, very much like that. He'd rather, again, the people piece is less. What I love about the probate is the opportunity to help families that in Florida often aren't, they don't have people here. They need, it delivers more on that service, concierge, your prep team, who all you have at your fingertips is a lot of value you bring. And then again, the ability to learn the process so that, and when it comes to with attorneys, you're not costing people more money because you don't know what you're doing or you're taking a listing wrong. So again, and at the end of the day, it was primarily, it's a listing business. So if you were going to invest over time, it could be an annuity that drives more listings, which even prior to March 15th, most of us would agree is a good idea. So after March 15th, it seems like an even better idea. But it is just one of those things that we know the graying of America. We know that people are, going to pass, and many people have not done a trust, and it will go to probate. And so again, just being able to do that. But what spoke to me over time, because I have to have joy in what I do. So I'm like one of those people that I love what I do, and the people I do it with and for. So for me, I just felt like it resonated, that spoke to my superpowers of caring for other people and caring about the process for them, making it easy. And so that's kind of how it came about. I would say that one of my best friends in San Diego, it's been her exclusive business for 20 years. And so we've been masterminding for 15 years, she and two other ladies. And so that we're very lucky, because I'm sure like you and Sarah, she benefits because Stefan is a friend, you're sharing, she's seeing. And so that was where she said, y'all really need to like learn this, get into it, because the future, it'll be something you'll thank me for later, you know? And so it's been a blessing. Her name's Kim Ward, and she's just done it amazingly. And she approached it from building attorney relationships, which again fits my wheelhouse, versus going for the personal representative, which might be different skills and strengths.
And I can imagine in the state of Florida, when I think of my friends' parents, where do the mass majority of them have a second home? It is in the state of Florida, right? And so many people have a second home. It might not be their primary residence, but a second, third investment property in the state of Florida. So it also aligns with where you're located as a long-term business. Now, you did mention March the 15th. And for those who don't know, that is the day that the NAR settlement agreement was announced. It is not signed. However, when we think about the NAR settlement agreement, one thing that we have consistently heard is demonstrating your value. What would be your advice to agents right now who question their ability to demonstrate their value? And what is a tip you can give them you always give great practical tips that they can do right now to shore up their value-added statement or demonstrate value?
Thank you for that. I think the silver lining in this settlement is all of us have been asking for more professionalism. And we got in this world really because of third-party vendors like Zillow and Trulia and Redfin and whoever, that you would search online and then they call and say, I want, show it to me. And so we got in this super fast pace. And so it's given us all a chance to say, we're going to have to pause, and they're going to actually have to talk to us. And I realized for myself, I built my business, just so you know, from 2005 to 2014, I did not help one seller. So I came into the market in a down market and I helped buyers. I'm super passionate about it. And I realized the last 3 years have been crazy here with shortages and getting, winning deals for buyers. But I wasn't telling them the 20 years of experience of why I was doing what I was doing, because it was like on the backseat of a car, we're writing it, we're jamming it, we're getting it. And I just be like, be happy, you got it, right? And so I realized that I hadn't had the opportunity and had gotten away from explaining, and could be part of the problem when people say, well, what do people do for me? Right. So one of the first things I did is I saw Tom Ferry in a video talk about what terms do we negotiate in a contract. And he said, 24 terms. And I went through our contract. This is a tip for everybody right now. I went through the Florida Realtor contract. I went through every addendum that we use, and I counted 114 terms that I am consciously working to my buyer's advantage, or my sellers. But my point is, as a buyer, what I ask people when I have a consultation now is, ask the average attorney, like, they know the price, the deposit, the date you want to close. Do they understand what happens with FIRPTA if that's not done correctly, and that the IRS counts the buyer for all the tax liability of the seller? Do they understand? So now we start explaining. And the other thing I did was I went in our seller's disclosure, and in there, it has all these things like PACE loans and mold and flood insurance and FIRPTA. And I wrote about 7 of them. And I said, ask the agents or attorney that you're going to work with, if it's not me, do they even know how that impacts you as a buyer? Do they know? Because you're going to sit there and say, first, the seller's disclosing it. And I share this story. I have a client. It's so funny. We've probably done 20 deals together in the last 10 years. And of course, because he does a lot of business, everybody wants to be his realtor. So everybody's always trying to get him to cheat on me. Well, about 2 years ago, he cheated on me in that he was out with a realtor who was looking for a house. She decided not to buy it. He bought it cash. And a year and a half later, he comes to me and he says, I need you to sell this. And I go back in the MLS and I look at the old seller's disclosure and I read it. And I said, well, what'd you do about the buried fuel tank? He said, what buried fuel tank? I said, well, the one on that property. He goes, Cyndee, you know I don't read. I said, I know, that's why you have me read, but you didn't have me read. So what happened? I said, you have an EPA hazard on your property. You paid cash for that. Then I said, well, what about the roof? He goes, how'd your 4-point go? What'd you find out? He goes, well, you know I didn't do that. So I said, well, I think that you're going to probably have to put a new roof on to be able to sell this to a buyer. Long and short of it is, he spent over $30,000 to get out of a house that somebody who didn't have the knowledge let him buy because it was cash, self-insured. And I always tell people it's not getting in that's the thing, it's getting out. That you buy right and you make your money on the backside. The errors here haunt you in the future. And price can fix a lot, but if you don't know that you paid, I'll give you an example, beach condos. The front of the unit typically pays about 10% more than the back of the unit overlooking the street. If you pay the same amount, when you go to sell, you're going to get a 10% haircut. So you messed up on the front end. Your people didn't do the job. Now, if you pay 10% or less, you will be ready to give that and be in a good position.
We have a listing in our office right now, and it's Skylar's listing. And I told him, I said, it is not your fault that they paid too much for the house when they purchased it. And the reason that I know they paid too much for the house when they purchased it is because I had a client that they beat out with their offer on said purchase, right? I said, if they want to leave, because one, not only did they spend too much on the front for the house, they've actually paid too much for the house every single month in which they've owned this house, which has been over a decade. I said, at this point, they have to stop the bleeding.
Right.
They have to stop, and they're going to break even or have to bring cash in order to get out of said deal. And so everything that you've said, I love it. I want our fellow realtors to implement it, start leveraging AI in their businesses. But the question is, Cyndee, I know you're running for office. I want to know, how can people who love the advice in which you've given can come and support you, and where do they find you online?
Thank you. I have a Facebook page, Cyndee for FR. CYNDEE for FOR, and then FR for Floor Realtors. And I also have that on Instagram. So again, when I post things, when I share, responding, sharing, talking, all helps get the visibility in front of Florida Realtor directors who will vote in August. So again, those things when you put yourself out there, the journey can be lonely. So just having affirmation and knowing that people, sees potential in what you can give it fuels the soul. So I appreciate it.
Well, one, you've given an abundance of practical advice that we can implement while listening to this episode of Social Selling Made Simple. So we wish you all the success, and we appreciate you for sharing with us today. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having me, Marky, because I love catfishing with you. I love you training me, and that we can keep focused on the front and then just delivering and taking care of clients. Like, we don't have to wonder what's out there. You always bring it at 6 and 12 months. I'm glad I'm in your group, and I'm glad I hang out with smart and talented people like you. So thank you.
Look, likewise, it does my heart joy when I see people implementing the tool. And one thing I don't think that our fellow realtors understand is that the world is becoming more productive, that men are more productive than women, and that 65% of people leveraging ChatGPT are between the ages of 18 and 34. And so everything that you said, when we think about the average realtor being a female, being around the age of 53, they need to implement these tools right now, today, in order to shore up their business. And the fact that they don't even have to write or type because they can do audio to text input, I can't encourage them enough, but they need to see you, they need to see me, they need to see other women who are taking these tools to grow their business, to create a legacy. And I think that you have demonstrated that for them today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.